The advice I'm about to give you is coming from answering a very simple one word yet thought provoking question. The one word question that I'm referring to is why. The very best thing that you can do as you're starting out in audio engineering or producing, or even if you're intermediate or advanced, is to ask yourself the question, why? Why am I doing what I'm doing right now? Why am I making the choice that I'm making? Why am I choosing one plugin over another? Why am I using analog emulation over a stock EQ? Why am I putting a high pass filter on these instruments right now? Now, it's okay for the answer to that question to simply be, it just works. If it works, that's great. But the very most important thing that you can do is be 100% honest with yourself about the answer to that question. If you don't know why, just be honest. Now, why ask the question why? Sorry to be redundant here, but the one major benefit to being able to answer this simple question has to do with the idea of being intentional with all of the decisions that you're making. This goes beyond just being able to answer questions like, why am I turning this EQ knob or this compressor knob? It has to do with being quicker with your decisions. If you're going to be intentional, then that's going to help you get the results you're looking for much, much quicker. The other alternative is wandering around. And if you wander around in a forest, I mean, you're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to get to your destination. So if you have a compass and if you have an internal decision-making process and intention behind what you're doing, you're going to get the results you're looking for much, much quicker, and those results will be better. Now, this principle goes far beyond just audio engineering and pretty much applies to everything in life. If you can be intentional in your day-to-day and have more focus, it's going to help you accomplish much, much more. The difference between the two, between not knowing really what you're doing throughout the day and having your whole day planned out with a lot of intention, is just so significant. And that's why I see people that take hours and hours and even days to master a track, when we see with the students that we work with, mastering a track in as little as 15 minutes or less. And it's because of this idea of being intentional with the decisions that you're making, having that focus and that, most importantly, internal compass that is going to guide your decisions. And having a decision-making process, a thought process, is just as significant and will help you to get results much, much quicker at a much higher level. I mean, let's really put this into perspective here. If you're able to be more intentional with your day, that'll give you more focus and help you accomplish that much more in a day's time. If you add that up over the span of an entire year, and the difference is exponential and astronomical. Let's do the same thing with our audio production and our output of music creation. If you're able to be more intentional with the decisions you make as a producer, engineer, mastering engineer, you should be able to finish a master within 15 minutes or less. Think about how much more music you're going to be able to create and how much more you're going to be able to output in the span of a year. And the difference is just absolutely no contest. Here is a quick story that I think demonstrates really well about the importance of knowing why you're making the decisions you're making with your tools and being super intentional. So the year is 2011, and up to this point, I had been using GarageBand through my 2006 MacBook and the built-in mic on that laptop to record and make my tracks. And in 2011, I decided I was going to really upgrade and take this whole recording thing seriously. So I go into Guitar Center in Salt Lake City, and I pick up three things. I pick up a microphone, this SM57, killer mic, by the way. I pick up a mic cable and my first ever audio interface, the Audio Box USB 2-channel blue interface. I bring it all home. I get it all set up. I plug it in. I realized that when I got home that I didn't pick up a mic stand, so I had to rig it on the edge of this kitchen chair with some towels and get it all set up. Took me forever to just figure out how to record something simple and get the audio and play it back and listen to it. So once I figured it out, I recorded my first song ever, and it was a lullaby for my niece on my wife's side. Got everything set up, recorded 4 tracks, acoustic guitar, MIDI piano, MIDI bass, and my vocal, all done through GarageBand and this SM57. I'd left, the edits or I'd forgotten to edit out things like the clicking of the trackpad for hitting record. But this thing had character. It was super noisy. It had noise from the refrigerator and the noise from the cheap, preamps on my interface from having to crank up the gain on such a quiet mic on the SM57. But again, it was vibey and it kind of got the job done. By this point, I hadn't watched a single video on EQ or compression. I didn't really even know what those things were or what mixing even was. So truthfully, the only thing I had was my ears and could only go off of that one tool, that one filter. Fast forward about a year later, and by this time I had found some YouTube channels, picked up on some recording techniques on EQ, high pass, low pass filters, all that good stuff. I'd bought a brand new desktop Mac, a super fast computer that I ended up using as my machine for the next 10 years. I thought I know all this stuff. A year later, I had graduated from GarageBand to Logic, and I thought, I'm going to go back and re-record this song. It's going to sound so much better. And guess what? The original sounded better. The original song had all this warmth in it and vibe from the noise that served the recording perfectly and served the song perfectly. And the new version was swimming in reverb and somehow was both muddy and brittle at the same time. So what's going on here? I mean, it's really simple. The second sort of arrogant attempt at reproducing this track I was doing all the things that somebody else told me to do with mixing and recording without actually listening to what was serving the track and being honest about the fact that I didn't truly know why I was making the decisions I was making. This leads me to give you one more piece of advice for beginners that I feel pretty compelled to give, and that's the idea of as you grow your studio, as you grow your skills, you're going to get better and better gear. And hopefully that means that you're going to get better with your ears. That is the most important thing. Your gear will help you only in so much that you actually use your ears in the process of using this gear. The story that I gave you is a perfect example of how upgrading your gear just simply won't help. So we have guys that have over $100,000 worth of outboard gear. They've had professional experience getting paid, doing this as a living, as producers, as mix engineers, and they still come to us not feeling confident about their mastering process to the point where they could charge at a professional level. So just remember, it's your ears, not the gear. When it comes to mastering, you cannot afford to wander around aimlessly with no real thought process as to why you're making the decisions that you're making. You have to have a real solid thought process and turn theory into actual owned knowledge and skill with how you approach your tools and the mastering process. If you can do this, this will make you a super powerful mastering engineer, mix engineer, and producer. You'll also be able to finish more music in less time, have more mastering clients, and do this all at a much higher quality. So if you're someone that really struggles with this answer to the question of why are you doing the things that you're doing? Why are you making the decisions you're making with EQ, compression, limiting, any part of the mastering process, or really any process involved with making records? Then I've included a link in the description below to book a call with one of our team members. We can walk you through, see if it makes sense to partner up, give you the mentorship that you need, the training, the in-depth training on not just skill and transforming your ears, but transforming your thought process so that you can be quick and intentional and powerful in the studio, do more in less time and at a higher quality. So that's all for now, guys. Thanks again for stopping by. Until next time, happy mastering, happy music making. Peace out.